Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Today I'm here with Paulin and we're going to be talking about ESSEC Singapore. So Paulin, can you introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, I'm Paulin, you can call me Paul of course, and so I'm the ambassador for the GAISC program within the ESSEC Business School, and I was representing the Singapore track. So before joining the ESSEC, I used to do an engineering degree specialized in industrial sciences, where I did most of my apprenticeship in the aerospace industry, and until now where I'm doing my apprenticeship within Airbus working in procurement strategy.
So both of us are part of the specialized masters in purchasing and supply chain, and this specialized masters is basically divided into two tracks, Cergy and Singapore, and half of us went to Singapore last year for about 10 weeks from October to December, but I think a lot of what we're going to be talking about can also be applied to those of you who are going for the BBA in Singapore or the Masters in Finance, Masters in Management, etc. So I hope this video is going to be useful for you guys. So let's start with the courses that we had. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, of course. So we've had quite a few interesting classes in Singapore. A lot of them are really focused on supply chain management and procurement. But when you choose to go to the Singaporean track, you get this special focus on the Asian area. So from all the many classes we had business negotiations in Asia, we had classes on marketing, we had classes on innovation in Asia, which was very interesting.
Shout out to Martin Pasquier.
Exactly, yes. Amazing teacher there, so you will love him. We had more classes on Asian culture as well, which allowed us to discover more about the different cultures represented in Singapore, and there's so many of them, so it's a very interesting class, especially for Europeans like me, for example, who don't necessarily get this knowledge of different Asian cultures and all the intricacies it has with how to do business in Asia, how to negotiate with Asian people, and how to pretty much work on procurement and supply chain positions within Asia.
I think one of the things that we forgot to mention is that the Singapore track is 100% in English. So those of you guys who are applying for the Singapore track, your English test results will be taken into consideration. Obviously, no one's asking you to be like completely fluent, but since the courses are in English, there is a certain exigence when it comes to your level in English.
Yes, it is often a question we get, and what we usually recommend is for people to have a minimum level when they do the TOEIC exam, which is one of the most relevant in France, and is to have a minimum score of 850, 900. 900 is actually what we would recommend the most.
So our panel of lecturers were very international. We had someone from India, from France, from Taiwan, from Iran. I think that's about it. But like everyone speaks English, like the international type of English. So I think what's great about Singapore is not only you get that exposure to the Asia-Pacific region of things, but you also get a very international perspective of supply chain and procurement. And the last thing that I want to mention for those of you guys who are in the MS GAISC in Singapore is that you also have classes with a few students from the Master in Management program.
Yes, it gives us the opportunity to actually meet new people all along the year, people from this Master in Management, which will join us on a daily basis within our classes, but it's also a great opportunity for us to meet other people from the Singapore campus.
So moving on, now we're going to be talking about accommodation. So I'm not the right person to talk about this because I stayed in Malaysia for the first half and then Singapore for the second half, used my Malaysian status. So I'm going to ask you, Paulin, who had to go through the entire accommodation search, etc. How did you find your accommodation and how early did you start finding your accommodation?
So how did we find it? It was actually quite a difficult process, but don't worry, there's a few helps you will get from the ESSEC and all the previous students. First of all, I want to really mention that it's not important to actually start looking like 6 months early before going to Singapore, because the earlier you start looking, the least chances you have to get an answer from any renters there, because they really have this short-term vision on what's available and when it is available. So a lot of us were really desperate because we didn't get any answers when we were asking 6 months prior to coming. We actually got more feedback roughly 2 months, 3 months before arriving in Singapore.
I think it's something like Paris. If you guys have had experience finding accommodation in Paris, it's very, very last minute.
Yes.
And the demand is high, so you have a quick turnover, but there's no point anticipating too much because they don't have that long-term vision.
Yes, and there's no point in trying, for example, to negotiate the start date of your rent, because they are the one who have the power, because there's such a great demand. If they tell you the rent starts on that day, just go along with it, unfortunately.
Okay, what kind of accommodation did you find? Were you like flat sharing with other people? What was it like?
For a short-term stay, which is not too short-term, so 3 months, 6 months, the most convenient type of accommodations are going to be condominiums, and most condominiums in Singapore are really great in terms of amenities, of equipment. It's usually quite clean, modern, and to give you a quick example on my personal experience, so I was in a condominium in a very tall building, probably
Park
beyond...
Riviera, right?
Called Park Riviera, yes. So it was on the west side of Singapore, quite close from the ESSEC Business School, so it was quite convenient on that part.
Yep.
A bit further away from the Marina Bay area.
How
and the
far was
Changi.
it from the central part of Singapore?
Probably an hour at most.
Okay.
An hour at most using public transport, so MRT or stuff like that. So it's not too difficult, to be fair, and public transports there are so convenient. You have so many of them. It's not really a big issue, to be fair. And if you're used to living in Paris, 1 hour of traveling, well, it won't be so much of an issue for you. So the condominium we had there was actually roughly 60 meters square in terms of size, and we stayed there as flatmates, so 6 of us, and we all knew each other before going there because we all did the same program with the GAISC class, and so we chose to really do the most we could to save on the rent. So there was 2 people staying in each bedroom with a single bed each, and we were paying on average, including the rent, the monthly rent, but also all the energy expenses and the water and everything, which you get to pay at the end. It would have averaged to around $850 at most. So it is really on the bottom fork of how much you pay in Singapore for such a rent. It was really affordable.
We also had other coursemates who paid, I think, around 750 euros. I don't know how much it was in Singapore dollars. But to flat share with other random people, like colocation basically. We also had people who, instead of sharing a bedroom, everyone had their single room, but I think they were paying about like $1,200, euros, something around that. So just to give you guys a range, I think you can expect around 750 to 1,200 euros per month for your rent expenses. It is extremely expensive.
It is expensive
compared to France.
It depends really on the level of comfort you want. If you're open to sharing your bedroom with someone, that's going to be the cheapest solution. And to be fair, if you're staying there for 3 months and you can like the people you're going to go with, you should go with that solution if you really want to save on money and, for example, save that money for some other expenses.
Traveling.
Because there's so many things to do in Singapore.
We'll get to that later.
Exactly.
So yes, the budget is pretty high for Singapore, and in my case in particular, because I'm Malaysian, I wanted to make use of that opportunity to try out the frontalière adventure. So I actually stayed in Johor, which is part of Malaysia, and I commuted in and out daily. Would I recommend this experience? I think if you're going for 3 months, it might be interesting because rental in Johor is like 3 times lower than it is in Singapore for the same level of quality of accommodation, etc. So if budget is something that is extremely crucial on your side, you could check out that option. And I also made an entire video documenting my commute journey and how to commute from Johor to Singapore. So if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to drop me a message on that. So back to the accommodation in Singapore, do you have any tips and tricks or what people should avoid when searching for an accommodation?
One tip first is don't go too fast, don't rush in anything. Anything that looks too good to be true is often going to be too good to be true.
Because scams exist in Singapore too.
One way to avoid getting scammed when renting something before even reaching Singapore is to usually rely on rental organizations. Agencies that are known in Singapore, of course, are a safer choice. Former students from the ESSEC GAISC program will share with the new students a list of accommodations they used to rent the previous year and any recommended agencies, so that those are are usually the safest solutions, a lot of us actually go with those recommended accommodations because it gets handed year after year from the students to other students. So it's quite a safe bet. Take into consideration within your budget that you do have to do a deposit to rent.
And how much? Like 1 month of deposit?
The deposit is usually going to be 1 month worth of rent. If it's more, it tends to be illegal. So avoid. Take into consideration that often it is tried that they do not give back the deposits.
Right.
It is something that has happened, not to me personally. I was very lucky to have very nice landlords and very nice agency. They were very caring with us. We had any issues, they would come and help us anytime. But I had a few friends who unfortunately didn't see their deposit back when they left Singapore.
What you can do is when you enter the apartment, take all pictures of everything that you notice.
Of course.
And send it to the agency or the landlord like directly from the beginning to make sure that both parties are aligned on the state of the apartment, so that if they try to con you into taking like not giving you back your deposit, you always have a base. Also, one thing to bear in mind is ESSEC does provide a lawyer. So when it comes to issues related to accommodation and life in Singapore in general, ESSEC actually has a lawyer to help you get through those issues. So now we're going to be talking about the visa aspect, because you also need a student visa to enter Singapore. The APAC campus actually helps you and guides you through the visa process.
It's a bit lengthy because you do have to go through the process, sending documents once, then sending some more again. It's probably a back and forth process which happens 3 or 4 times with different down payments through the process.
Yes, down payments. So do take into consideration that this visa process requires a bit of money on your end that is not taken care of by ESSEC. I tried to bring out what we paid. I think we paid around like $45 of processing fees once, and then 97 euros. I checked my bank statement earlier for the visa issuance fee. So that is about like 150 euros, I think, to put aside for the visa process. But as Paulin said, it's very, very well followed through by the ESSEC APAC team. They will send you emails countlessly with the steps to follow. You can ask them if you have any questions. They will reply you. Everything is very straightforward. So as long as you follow those processes, everything is fine. None of us had any problems.
It is really easy. It's just answer the questions. Some of them might be a bit unusual because they're going to be asking about your ethnicity and all. It just takes quite a few weeks. So do it in time. Try to start.
So as long as you follow the process, everything can be okay. It's nothing to stress about. It's nothing compared to like applying for a visa in France, for example. Okay, now we're going to move on to my favorite part of this video. What do you eat in Singapore, and everything related to food. So I'm going to start with how we eat, and then you can help with like groceries and price comparison and stuff like that. So there's this concept called food courts, which is very popular in Southeast Asia, especially Singapore. It's basically an area with multiple food stalls of a variety of cuisine, which is very affordable, and it's basically how Singaporeans eat in general. So us, for example, we did have a small canteen at ESSEC, which was pretty good as well, honestly. But we also had like 2 food courts, about 10 minutes walk. I'll put pictures and address like here. So basically you can get like any type of food that you want, rice, noodles, soup, anything, for pretty reasonable price. I think we paid around like $3 to $5 per meal.
Oh yeah.
So it's something that we really, really loved in Singapore, and I think you guys will enjoy it too. But can you tell us more about like grocery shopping? And I mean, did you have to buy food, or did you just eat out most of the time?
So when we arrived there with all of my flatmates, we all went at the same shop and we were like, okay, let's try to find whatever we want. We wanted to play it really the French way, you know, when you just buy your stuff, you take it home, you cook every evening. So you try to buy groceries maybe on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, as I like to do it. So at first we started doing that. Then it turned out not to be a very affordable way of eating in Singapore.
Right.
To be fair, supermarkets have very interesting products, so I really encourage you in going through those because you're going to discover things, and it's definitely part of the experience there. But it's definitely not the affordable solution on how to eat in Singapore. First of all, because everything there is imported. A lot of the stuff there is imported, so you do pay taxes, you do pay high prices for products. Do not try to eat the same way you would eat in France. I mean, just forget it about dairy products, so forget it about your French saucisson or whatever French food that you're used to and want. Just forget it for a few months you're there.
So you guys didn't really do much grocery shopping then? Just every now and then, but you mostly ate in food courts?
Yeah, I mean, we rarely went grocery shopping after the first week and we noticed how expensive it was. We never went back to the supermarket except for buying those fluffy cheesecakes. This is a special one for Grégoire. He loves it. Also, one thing to mention is that a lot of the kitchens in Singapore, despite how modern it is often going to be gas ovens and gas stoves. So whenever you're gonna try cooking inside your flat, it's gonna bring up so much heat, and heat is your worst enemy in Singapore. So do not try bringing in any more heat. Just go eat outside in the heat and keep your cool flat with air conditioning.
Okay, so that makes the perfect transition talking about heat. Let's talk about weather. So for those of you who have not been to like Southeast Asia, you will discover a new form of heat and humidity. So I come from that region and I'm well aware of that. Can you tell me what like your first impression was stepping outside the airport?
To be fair, no amount of traveling will get you prepared for that. And I love the north, I love the cold countries, but yes, Singapore has been a shock for me. So when you land in Singapore, you're in this beautiful Changi airport and it's wonderful because everything is air conditioned. But the moment you're gonna step out and look for your very first Grab taxi to take you to your flat, you're exhausted, but you will feel the heat and the humidity. It's just... yeah, it's different. It's
different. I mean, you will see Singapore is very it's tropical. It's very green, and that's something
wonderful.
That's great about Singapore. Like landscaping is amazing, but it doesn't take away the fact that it's super hot and humid. So dress light. I mean, we were in like shorts. This is your time to go makeup free, to put on your casual clothes, to put on slippers. This is the moment because people pretty much dress up that way for the weather.
I mean, I tried at first. I really wanted to put some long pants and some shirts to dress fancy to go at school, you know, the business school kind of clothing way, but it's not the way to do it. I mean, you're gonna suffer so much, so the heat and humidity is just all of the time. Whenever you step outside, it feels like your shirt is just gonna stick to you immediately. So luckily, everywhere there's air conditioning, but the moment you step outside, it's just really unbearable, to be fair.
Like one thing to note as well is like it's very hot, but Singaporeans are very used to having air conditioning at like 90 degrees. So maybe bring like one sweater inside buildings just in case, but overall you can pack light. I think also one more thing to mention is that around October to December it was very rainy for us. So it would rain all of a sudden for like 1 hour, like heavy rain, and then it would stop and then it would rain again. So it's pretty unpredictable. Bring in a portable umbrella and bring like rubber slippers, or you could get them in Singapore as well, but your shoes are going to get drenched, so don't even bother.
and you might have noticed we are just talking about rain, but Dhivenya didn't even mentioning bringing a raincoat.
Right.
Do not bring a raincoat, actually. When we arrived in Singapore, we had probably 3-4 days free before starting school, and on our first day of school it started pouring rain like crazy, like a tropical storm. So it was part of the experience. And so you had this group so you had this group of French students walking in the Singaporean streets with those very big raincoats, or like the Kawi style raincoat, and we looked like turtles in the rain, you know. And the thing is, the whole floor was just flooded. Everywhere was flooded, but we arrived and everywhere we were walking, not a single Singaporean was wearing a raincoat. No one there wears a raincoat.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. First of all, because it's going to keep you warm so much. It's going to keep the humidity inside. It's just awful. So do not bother taking a raincoat, except you want to go travel some places, and that's the most technical clothes you can bring. But do not use it in Singapore. Actually, there's also a very convenient thing. Most of the streets in Singapore, especially if you're close to the city center, are going to be covered.
Yeah.
You're going to have covering everywhere. So whenever it rains, you're just always always dry because there's no need of walking into the rain.
Also having something else. Another way to get through Singaporean heat is having this device, which is I would not survive heat even in France without this device. I will link it in the description. I do not get any royalties for this, although I should. But bring this, it will help you survive Singapore and Southeast Asia in general. By the way, we made this one-pager with what to bring and how to prepare your arrival in Singapore, so don't hesitate to check that out in the description. So that's all for this video. I hope we managed to give you guys an insight to what your life in Singapore is going to be like. Thank you, Paulin, for your insights.
Well, thank you, Dhivenya. I mean, Singapore is an amazing experience. Some of it might scare you, but trust me, it's all worth it, really.
I kind of miss it now.
Oh yes, I miss it so much now.
So, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Drop us questions if you have any of them in the comment section and we will get back to you. Ciao!
Bye!